Hello and welcome. This is part 3 of Fitness to Freedom. I'm joined by the lovely April Smiles, and we are diving into all the things we've learned about self-care and taking care of our energetic bodies. So I'm Kiki. Grateful you're here watching. And where do you want to start, April?
That's a good question. I'll say this. I was thinking today about, because I knew we were going to have the talk. So I was thinking today about boundaries, and us putting boundaries out there so that we can focus on self-care, right?
Yeah.
And I think we touched on it a little bit earlier in a previous conversation. We were talking about being in the fitness industry and doing all that we were doing. I don't think we really had boundaries set up because we were so caught up in, we could do this particular class and this particular event, and we can go and do this for professional development, go attend these classes and these events, and we'll just go, and not taking care of our body. Our bodies, physical bodies in particular, because we were just so caught up and drawn into all of the crazy madness. That was in a good way. All the crazy, the crazy
adrenaline, the dopamine, all the happy juice.
That happy chaos. That's what I was trying to think of the words I wanted to say for it. The happy chaos with all the adrenaline being pumped and everything. And it felt good, right? But then at the same time, then we got sore and all of that, and we didn't do enough as far as the stretching and those types of things. And so we could go on and on about that, right, Kiki? Like just us and talking about how important it is to make sure that we stretch the muscles, especially us as women, all of that stuff I know that everybody knows. But I guess now transitioning into the whole, when I'm saying self-care as far as now being on the spiritual journey, for me, it looks different. It's not just taking care of the physical body. Now, I got that down pat. I know you do too. We know to listen to our bodies. Okay, we're going to listen to the physical body. Time to rest, then we rest, right?
Yes.
And then
learn that lesson the hard way, some of us.
Yep. And especially being in the fitness industry. So now we know, we further along in the journey. But as far as the spiritual journey, now I'm making sure that I'm including other ways to do the self-care that's not just focused on the physical body, but our spiritual body, if you will, because that's important too. Making sure we have self-care for this up here as far as our mental, our emotional. And the spiritual body for me is looking at it in a way that, okay, when I take on as an empath as far as people's energy, I have to be very mindful of that because I can be very, very in tune, with what the person may be feeling, and then you feel for them too. And then that, all of that energy we're expending, it's like, we talk about caloric expenditure with calories,
right?
Burning calories, and, we get all of that. But then all this energy expenditure, I should say, from when we're feeling other people's energy, when I'm doing my Reiki sessions. And so I'm more mindful of that now, not just taking care of the physical body, but also the spiritual body. So.
Yes. And learning those boundaries. I mean, we talked about it and learned it in the physical, but even mental, like setting boundaries with work. Or when you come into the house, you're not bombarded by significant other, kids, etc. Like take a minute to download, energetically, it's okay to say no. If you're empty, you're not doing yourself or other people a service, or from an empty cup. And that was a really hard lesson for me. We did say no. I felt like I was letting people down. They were going to be disappointed. Like, I'm here to serve. But when I started taking better care of myself, I was able to serve a higher level of frequency. And I had more energy to give in that moment for that section. And I was more focused and present. And, go back to the airplane scenario. They tell you to put your oxygen mask on before you do that of a loved one for a reason. Like, make sure you're coming from that well taken care of place, and working through shame and guilt. You brought up being an empath. I am as well. The lines can get blurred. Like, am I feeling it, or am I feeling their feelings? Like, use my feelings or theirs, and that's interesting to
Mm-hmm. And let me say this too, because I watch you, and when we were in the fitness industry, and I look at you now, and I'm like, I tell some of my friends, I'm like, Kiki is just glowing. Like, not that it was a different type. Okay, let me say this. It was a different type of glow in the fitness industry, right? But now there's this glow about you where you can tell that you've just relaxed, you've just released, and now you're in this zone where you it's not just so much as far as your happy place, but you're feeling like this bliss. That's what I feel from you, like all of that. And I'm like, look at Kiki. I'm so happy.
Oh, thank
You
you.
are. I mean, and and connecting that with what we're talking about, just and watching you and seeing like what you're doing on the social media, and now with your business and what you transition into from, the freedom as far as the whole fitness industry, and then more into your spiritual journey. It's amazing to see you just transformation as far as that, right? Because for me, and watching that, it's a beautiful transformation, because I'm like, yes, Kiki gets it. Like, she's awakened to herself, to her higher self, and her spiritual self. Because a lot of times before, we've more so focused on just mainly the material. When I say material, I'm talking about physical, as far as just making sure the body is right and this and that. Now it's like, it's that calm, serene, just life is beautiful, and let me flow in this life journey as I'm taking on, the spiritual benefits, and the spiritual tasks that don't feel like chores, but these spiritual tasks, part of your soul mission, all that. You've opened up more to your soul. This is what I love, and what we do, in transitioning from freedom to the self-care. So I just want to say that.
Well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. You never know how you're perceived on the outside. And you knew me before, during, and like this after phase, and we're in it together, right? We all had our separate experiences. We have our separate paths we're taking, but side by side, we have so many similarities and epiphanies, and just trusting your intuition, tapping into your voice, like learning to use more of our gifts and our own inner stillness has been huge. And like, it goes against the grain. Like, we'll use air quotes in society, what they think and believe and teach you. And we have all the answers inside for ourselves, not for others, but for ourselves. But we tend to go back to materialistic, physical. We look at exterior. It's easy to quantify a weight, a size, something on the scale, who has this purse or watch or whatever, or the status of the car or the job or the promotion. That's kind of what's been ingrained from media everywhere. But now we're looking on the inside, and what's the status of your soul? How's your soul doing? What's your soul been like? Are you able to be itself? Have you let it itself? I feel like as kids, we do such a great job, and I don't know where this is when it starts to fade or forgotten. But there's that transition. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
There's, when we talk about especially being when we go back to the childhood, and I know people talk about the inner child. It's like when we transition into, I don't want to get caught up in age, but as we transition further along, this whole life journey, we just get more and more serious, less and less playful. And then I'm like, well, how do we awaken, and how are we able to take better care of ourselves if we just get so serious? And it's just like, oh, you're just so serious. When the more serious you are, the more conservative you become. right?
Mm-hmm.
But why can't we? Who is to say that we can't tap into what we did when we were younger, and even the things that we wanted to do when we were younger that maybe we weren't able to do?
Right.
That's part of nourishing the soul. That's part of awakening the soul, because I feel like the soul was just more so sleeping as we were not in the youth years, but as we were going through this whole um, I'm just gonna put it out there, 3D reality of go to school, get a job, get married, have kids. To me, that's more of the seriousness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then, but yet it's like we forgot,
Yeah.
and that's it's like that's when the soul went to sleep. Okay, soul goes to sleep. Now I'm gonna be on this grown up autopilot mode. Well, you gotta be a grown up, you gotta be adult, and you just gotta do X, Y, and Z. But no, and that's where I was like, wait a minute, I enjoy, still doing tic tac toe with my sons, the old school on paper and pen or pencil.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy going. We're outside, and I'm like, okay, you think mom is slow? I'm using my sons for an example because that's what we do. But you think mom is slow? All right, ready? We in the grass, and we're just like, okay, ready, set, go, and then we just run, right? Like, what's wrong with that? What happened to those things? And again, this is where I feel like the soul has just we just put the soul to sleep, and we forgot this is part of the joy and enjoying life.
Mm-hmm.
Because if we're just focused on, and I'm not knocking people in 9 to 5s or anything like that, that's not my jam. It just isn't. But when we get so caught up in the seriousness of what has to be done and what has to be taken care of, we forget to really enjoy life, and you forget to awaken your soul that has been sleeping all this time, that you've been conditioned to just do this, do that, because this is what society expects and these are the standards. Now I'm going to go back to what I enjoyed when I was younger. Just those simple things, as far as like riding a bike, roller skating, those types of things. And now adding more to it, meditation, those things bring me joy. It nourishes my soul. So the youth years, and just we didn't care about anything else but just having fun. So why don't we apply that now, further along in this life journey?
Yeah. And we're in such an amazing age of opportunity. We don't have to do traditional 9 to 5. You can be an influencer. You can pick up gigs. You can be a freelancer. Do what you love, what you're passionate about, and follow your dreams. That is like the American dream.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
I remember as a kid, everybody always asked, "What do you want to be when you grow up?" And it always fascinated me because it didn't matter what you said. You would get a high five. Oh, that's cool. You knew you were going to change your mind. They knew you were going to change your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And that, I think my niece was telling me, she's at the University of Hawaii. She's like, the average college student now changes their degree 4 times before they graduate. And that's if they go. And then more and more doing the associates or a vocational and doing something with their hands. And I feel for them because there's still that stigma, like, oh, you can hack it. That's not the case. That brings them joy. They like to make something and come home and do that, not have all the crazy debt, the student loans. Like,
Yep.
that's their version of success for them.
Mm-hmm.
And no one else gets to dictate that for you. And I think that's we had talked about this in part one when what drew us to Zumba. We weren't happy with just, and we knew there was something more out there. And bringing people joy and dancing and music, like that's both been in our blood. Now we're taking it to another level. I'm working
Right.
all of that.
Yeah, and that teaches that has given us lessons to be where you and I in particular are at now. All of that we did with Zumba fitness, and all that we've done in other parts of the fitness arena, not just Zumba, right? Because we did other things in the fitness industry, and which we still do, y'all. Just not knocking that. We still do it, but just we're not just focused on those things now. That has given us opportunities. It's taught us, and now it's helped us into this expansion into other parts of this life journey that now includes the spirit, because we all are spirit. We all are soul beings. So we've been able to tap into that more based on those experiences from the past. And then you were talking about as far as college and everything, that this is the thing, like nobody gets to dictate how we enjoy this journey. So we shouldn't allow people to dictate that. So if what's going to bring me joy is going to look different from somebody else. So somebody else, it may bring them joy to go study a particular major. You know, if they want to study medicine, if they want to study, you know, English or economics, that brings them joy. So whatever it is, and that's what kept sticking out when you were talking, Kiki. I'm like, okay, you do what makes you feel good. You do what makes you happy, not anybody else. Oh, but my parents want me to do X, Y, and Z. No, it's not about your parents. It's about you and your soul. What does your soul? What feeds your soul? And I feel like even when I wish I was given that when I was younger, not a whole thing of, well, what do you want to be when you grow up? Because now that's putting us in that 3D mentality to say that, oh, yeah, do you want to be an astronaut? Do you want to be a pilot? Do you want to be a doctor? Do you want to be a lawyer? Those are just labels for me. And this is me speaking personally for myself. Those are all labels. I don't really subscribe to labels anymore now. I am just a soul being that loves life. That's an LOL, a lover of life, that enjoys and has compassion for people, that enjoys helping people to heal. So I'm focused on the soul mission, and that's just it for me. So going back to what I was saying, I wish that when I was younger, I was asked, hey, so what is it? What makes you happy? What are things that you do now that makes you feel good? Like those types of things, right? But instead, we're put in a box, the box being the school classroom, for a lot of us, and we're taught to, do specific math equations, and we're taught as far as language arts, and we're taught as far as things for science. We're taught all these different things, and then it's like, okay, here, let me give you these tests, because that's going to determine what you do and how you become successful. So we have to reprogram the mind. So I was like, no more of this. I'm going to reprogram my mind so that I can really enjoy life. 46 years old, and again, it doesn't matter as far as age. I feel like I'm going to live a very long time, very long life here, but that's another conversation.
Yeah, 110 quad.
Okay. And I'm just like, no, I'm going to create the reality. If I am the creator of this script, then I'm going to change the script, because what I thought I had to do, or what I was supposed to do in this reality, is just a 3-dimensional reality. I don't live in that reality anymore, and I'm okay with that. And I'm okay with being transparent with that, because again, we're talking about self-care. Being transparent and being vulnerable, for me, that's part of the self-care, because it feels good to release and be honest in my new path, as a soul being that I am waking up to my soul.
I love that. I think it's important to share, by sharing our stories, we're giving people permission to do the same thing and start sharing. We're not alone. We're so much more alike than we realize on any given day. And, I started out being homeschooled. I loved it. I would hang out in the library. That was my happy place. But it wasn't the firm, like the box. It was a great, like that resonated so deeply with me when you said that. Like that's what I felt like. Most of the classrooms didn't have windows. I'm like, how can we connect with nature? And the curriculum was picked out for you. They had the scan. I was at the age where you had the blue book and Scantron. Like I had test anxiety. You had to pass. You had like the pre-SATs and SATs and whatever other standardized stuff that they had in place to determine your level of success for placement for graduating. And it didn't end in high school, it didn't end in college. Like it's still, people love, you talk to labor and what people wear on their shoulder. And at the end of the day, we're all souls and it doesn't matter, right? I beliefs, right? We are all equal. Much any type of apocalyptic things, everybody becomes equal like that when things shut down. An EMP, all the electronics are gone. Can't access the money anymore. We're all equal. So what have you done as a person? Are you showing up in a kind way? Are you giving back to the community? I look at character over anything else anymore. Um, but in college, I chose English. I was like, I love to read. Let me pick what's the easiest thing that aligns with what I love to do. So yeah, I mean, I was writing 10, 15, 20-page papers as my final, but you have to take the tests. So that worked for me. I love the arts. I loved music, and I took all the extracurriculars, like probably more credits there than I needed to, but that was what was fun. I was like, if I'm paying for it, which I was like, I'm going to take what I want to take. And if it takes me longer, fine. Thankfully, it didn't. It was awesome, but not overloading. My niece and my nephew, we're wanting them to take 20 credits a semester. That's a lot. And a lot of the kids, I shouldn't say kids, but teenagers, quasi adults, they're working, whether it's part time or full time, to keep up with all the reading and everything. And those stressors, and you've got all the energy drinks and the coffee, addiction start there. So all, what are we doing to our society from like the ground up? And how can we make some changes to allow for more freedom, I guess?
Yeah. Yeah, because in order for us to take better care of ourselves and do that self-care, we need to be more in tune with our spiritual, our soul.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where the self-reflection comes in. It's like, wait a minute, what am I doing? Am I really enjoying this 9 to 5 that I'm doing? Is it making me feel good? How do I feel about it? That's where the self-check-in comes. We talk about self-care. And yeah. And then the other thing is, okay, so the people that are in the schools and the universities and the colleges, am I really enjoying this, or am I just doing this major because, that's what my parents did, or that's what my parents always wanted me to do. They weren't able to do it. And again, feeling this pressure from others. This is a huge challenge for a lot of us. Stop allowing, and that's the one thing that I'm glad that I came to as far as self-realization. Stop allowing others to determine how you're going to live your life. Doesn't matter if you're 18 or if you're 25 or 35, 45, 65. Stop allowing others to determine how you're going to live your life journey. Because how you live your life journey, that is going to make a huge difference and impact on others. This is all a collective effort. It's not, yes, we want to focus on the self, right, and self-care. But in doing that, and when we're actually doing it and putting it in place, then we're able to uplift and encourage and support one another. It creates that whole ripple effect. When we talk about as far as a collective, we're taking care of ourselves individually, then we also take care of ourselves collectively. The challenge is that too many of us focus on just the self, or we're just focused so much on everybody else that we're not focused on self.
Yeah, balance, right? Finding that happy medium. And I believe when I heal, others heal, by healing ourselves, whether it's the collective or by our example, or people seeing what we're doing and noticing the shifts and the changes. You're different. What's different? What are you doing? And opening those doors for those conversations. I call them soul connections, right? Like I want to attract my soul aligned clients, people that have already connected with me. We have a soul contract. I can help them on their path. They're going to help me because I learn something from every single client. We're mirrors. There's a lesson for me in everyone I help. And yeah, the 9 to 5. Some people love it. It's really secure for them, and they're happy with what they're doing. And we're not here, not that, but it is. It felt like a prison.
Yep.
Like the cubicle environment. I didn't realize it until the unplugging of 2020. And then I was like, I love my own office. I love creating my own energy and space. And I found that I was way more productive. I was getting things done in 5 or 6 hours instead of stretching out to the 8 or 9 hour day. And quality of work was higher. My product was higher. I was like, I'm something to this. And I know there's a big controversy now with so many companies pulling people back, not even hybrid, like they want them 100% on site. So hopefully there's more forward thinking companies that are allowing the hybrid, realizing you don't need to be looking over your shoulder. I don't need butts in seats. Like, you just hire people to do the job and get out of the way and let them do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I know there's the other side where people take advantage, and that's unfortunate. And it's like, play nice in the sandbox. Don't ruin it for the rest of us. Come on, guys.
Right.
But yeah, sifting and sorting, figuring out what fits and being open to it, getting off that hamster wheel was huge for me because I didn't realize how unhappy I was until I had that. It wasn't even a pause. It was like a slam on the brakes, get off the hamster wheel, sit with your thoughts and feelings for a while because we didn't know. And we're still like almost 4 years later. And I love working remotely. I have so many amazing people that I've met virtually that aren't even physically near me that I would have met before. And it's opened up such an amazing global community of like-minded people.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that?
Yeah. And well, I'm listening to you, and I'm like, right, Kiki. Yep. Okay. You have more freedom. There's more freedom to be who you are, who you truly are. There's more freedom to do the things that you enjoy and create. And I'm sorry, but well, I'm not sorry. The 9 to 5 is not going. It's going to. Basically, the 9 to 5 is like the adult box. So you have the little box for the kids in school. That's the classroom where they're not able to explore. And some people may not agree with me on that, and that's okay. I respect where people are as far as what they feel about it, but this is just what I feel. But the children are not able to, in their youth years, they're not able to really explore. They're just put in a box where it's in the classroom. If you start talking a little bit, imagine the teacher is saying, okay, everybody, you have to be quiet. You have to listen to the teacher. You have to sit there at the desk and have your manners. They can't get up and play, but they're kids because we should be playing, right? Especially as kids. So that's what I mean as far as the box for the youth. And then you got the adult box, which is a 9 to 5. And it's like, okay, well, you're working this time from, let's say, 9 to 5. You get a half-hour lunch break. You can take it at 12 or you can take it at this other time, but that's it. If you're not feeling well, you need to make sure that you do X, Y, and Z as far as all these rules and instructions. I don't like rules. I don't like instructions. Now you're putting me in the adult box. And so that doesn't feel good. And as much as I've tried to apply for 9 to 5 jobs, it never works out. It's like the universe is just saying, no, that's not for you. You have a bigger mission. And these are the things that we all need to keep in mind because everybody has a soul mission. Everybody has a soul mission. We're just not tapping in, right? Because we're bombarded and distracted by those things that we have to do in this 3D as far as, well, I got to make sure I'm taking care of bringing home the money for the kids and bills and this and that. We're so distracted by all that we forget. Again, it's the soul sleeping. We're not waking up the soul. We have to step in and say, okay, you know what? Something's got to change. Something is missing. Let me think about this. I mean, not overthinking, not stressing or anything, but just saying, let me think about this. Let me look at this. All right, so I'm working this particular job, but yet something is missing. That's what it felt like for me back when I just had my first child. And I was like, yeah, this is not feeling good. I hardly get to see him, and again, everybody is different. And I started doing my own self-reflecting there because I was like, why do I keep crying? Why am I not happy? We have to ask ourselves these questions and be vulnerable with ourselves, be more transparent with ourselves, have that self-transparency. Be like, hey, what's really going on? No need to sit up here and have to hold it together, right?
Yeah, let the tears flow. That's an energetic release. Like your soul's trying to get your attention one way or another.
Yep. Yeah. Your soul check-in. That's your soul check-in. And I don't know, because I know for a while I didn't even want to talk about that as far as soul and spirit. I think I mentioned that before in one of our previous talks. But now I'm just like, but wait, but everybody is a soul being. We're all soul beings. And so oftentimes we just get too caught up in the physical, in this physical shell, and we just miss out on a lot because we haven't tapped into what the soul really wants as soul beings.
Yeah, I mean, you hit on something really important, purpose, right? And I would say a lot of the clients I talk to, they're like, I'm successful, I've got a great marriage, I have kids, I'm working on this business. I woke up one day and I just felt empty. Like a puzzle piece was missing. Or like, what am I here to do? There's more to my life than what I provide. I basically put a check in all the boxes I thought I needed to or wanted at the time. And now that I have them, I'm still not fulfilled. Like that sense of success, contentment, and like soul purpose, like completing mission was missing. So tapping in those feelings and being open, like, what's next? Where am I going? Here to do, and being okay to sit in silence.
Yeah.
And wait for the answer. Tapping into your higher self, Holy Spirit, whoever you reach out to for guidance, whatever your guidance system is, and kind of create that practice. I mean, I've got my meditation in the morning. I play my singing bowls. I can take breaks with my cats. I love my midday workout. Like, it breaks up my day. I'm not so much in the computer, whether it's out in nature, walk, yoga, whatever my body's feeling like it needs. And I couldn't do that at work. Like we were bringing up the lunch break. We could go downstairs and work out in the gym and shower and come back, but that's you're rushing and you're like in that frenzied state. Like, I got to go down, I got to do this, and I got to get ready and get back and try to do it at the tail end of the day and maybe miss traffic. I was talking to a lady yesterday. Can you believe we used to do this on a regular basis? Get up super early, pack the kids' lunch or what have you, get our own makeup, get ready, sit in traffic to get to work, then work, and then we sit in traffic on the way home. And then if you're in sales or any type of position where you are driving new clients, then you're on the road even more. And that might be your jam. You might love being a road warrior and listen to podcasts and music. But for me, I was just like another box, but it was moving the wheels. And I want to be out and like I'll sit on my back porch, I'll be in nature when I'm creating my graphic and writing copy that connects me to the universe. Like that brings me into the present instead of being surrounded by electronics or other people's energy. I'm not saying it's good, bad, or indifferent, but it's still other energy you have to navigate and block out.
Yeah. And that's, you have me thinking about me doing that when I have my break. In working the 9 to 5, which really ends up being longer than 9 to 5 with other things that we have to do right in the box. So, and I was like, yeah, that's right. I'm like, I barely even ate because if I didn't bring my lunch, then it was just like, okay, well, I don't want to spend money and go here. And then if I have to go across the street to go get something, that's already taking a bunch of time. So all this stuff going on, but basically what it does, it just adds more stress.
Yep.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, I don't want more stress in my life. And it's, when you talked about as far as like, now as far as meditation and being able to play your bowls and those types of things, and whatever it is for whatever's people's thing to release and to relax, for me, it's the same thing with you. It's the meditation, it's the yoga, all of that, working out, not having to work out and feeling this pressure where I only got this much time as far as all that. That's not, for me, I don't feel that it's productive.
Right.
Again, it goes back to do what you love, do what makes you feel good. And if there's things that are standing in the way of that, then now it's like, okay, let me come back to this self-reflective drawing board and look at it and be like, all right, I'm not able to do this. So if I'm not able to do my yoga, I'm not able to do my meditation. Why is that? Let me look and see what my schedule is like and what's going on. Right. And a lot of times people talk about balance and stuff. Well, I have kids and I have this and I have that and I work and my commute is like an hour and a half one way and all these things. And as you're saying all of this, write all that down then or record yourself so you can see, okay, this is my day. And do you want your day to look like that? We have to get serious on this and in that aspect and ask ourselves these questions. All right, how does that really make me feel?
And I've noticed I've been very picky with how I spend my free time. When should I spend it?
Mm.
Am I going to go to a sporting event or a concert, or am I going to go to a girlfriend's house where I know it's going to be a small few people who are like-minded? Is it going to uplift me, or is it going to drain me and suck out all my energy? And am I going to need another day to bounce back? Like, I don't have these conversations. This is a self conversation between me and myself and I. Like, how does this make you feel? Are you getting a heck yes? Or are you getting a, oh, I don't think so?
Yeah.
And not feeling as guilty to say no thank you, or I have other plans, or I'm really worn out. Like, I don't even have to give an example. I used to have to justify it, come up with an excuse or a reason. I couldn't just say no. That was really, really hard for me. And just now it's like, oh, thanks so much for the invite. I won't be able to make it. That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Responding in kind. They don't know where I am, and 2 days earlier, it may have been a yes. But at that moment, it was my tank's empty. I have nothing left to give. I'm going to stay at home with the cats and read a book and refill my own tank. You know? And I'm an extroverted introvert, so I need that alone time to recharge. And I used to beat my head up against the wall. A lot of my family members are extroverts, which is awesome. We need both. And it's not a matter of the more outgoing, it's how they refill their energy.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of my friends refill it by being frenzy and all of that activity and other people and large crowds. And that's not how I refill. That's what drains me.
Mm-hmm.
I remember a Zumba convention. I was so happy to go and get a sandwich and a piece of cake and go back to my room and just eat it, shower, and face plant. Like that prepared me for the next day. As you know, it's what, 8,000 people and running to and fro, and you're moving and you get caught up in it, and it's awesome. But then you get to your room, and I'm like, I remember literally like falling down the wall. So like, I don't know if I'm gonna make it to the shower.
Yeah,
I stink. I need to.
mm-hmm. It's an overstimulation. You talk about it as far as like when we were at convention, at the Zumba instructor convention. It's overstimulation. It's like, okay, now we need to pause. That means going back to the room and just laying out. There's no music on. It's just you and the silence in that hotel room, and that's just what it is. That's what's necessary because you have to recharge.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of times we're just like all pumped on this adrenaline, right? It's like yes, I'm gonna go to this session and this session, and I'm gonna go talk to so and so. Then we're gonna go out and this and that. But then again, we forget that we need to recharge. We forget that, okay, you got to take care of you, though, in the process. That's fine. That's great. There's going to be plenty of opportunity to enjoy this over here and that over there and that day. Well, then you also got to make sure that you're carving out some of those moments, those self moments to relax. Mm-hmm. Pause from all of that and say, all right, I'm just going to take this pause. It's just like exercising and working out. What do you do like in a typical like fitness class? Like if you're especially like in boot camp or something, they'll give you the little break because you can't just go on the whole time nonstop. There has to be breaks. So taking those breaks, and it's the same thing overall in this life journey. We have to take breaks. A lot of times we don't take breaks. We feel that we should not take breaks because we have so much going on and we can't catch up with life. Honestly, are you really ever going to catch up with life in terms of all the different things that we're supposed to be doing? No.
We didn't come here to check off a list.
Oh my gosh.
Enjoy the experience and the lessons and play and have fun. I mean, rest days. I was terrible. I would never take them. My stretches were super short. Like I did the cool down, but as far as like stretching, now like stretching, foam rolling, more yoga, more elongating exercises instead of the short, fast. Like the body needs that balance. And I was living very much in my masculine energy, like the action, the force, the grind. And I had suppressed a lot of the feminine. I was avoiding crying. I was avoiding being vulnerable, and to my disservice. And a lot of that was kind of ingrained, like tears are weakness. I'll give you something to cry for. Going back to old school like sayings, and just embracing that and letting it flow. And I don't know why I wasn't upset. I wasn't sad, but I just got hit out of the blue last week with like an ugly cry. And I was just like, I'm meant to sob and let this out. And like the cat came on the bed and he was like, are you okay, mommy? And I was just like, I'm okay. Been doing some inner child work. So I was like, I don't know if it's my emotions or hers because we're together again. I'm just embracing it and letting it out. And I had such a great sleep that night. So it needed to happen. Whatever that release was for, I don't even try to label it or ask why it's happening for me, not to me. And I think that's been a huge shift that I've been working on for myself. So I would feel like, oh, I'm crying, there's nothing to cry about, your life's really good. I'm trying to sit in that gratitude, but I'm like, but why are you beating yourself up for not being in gratitude? You have to be in that 24/7, right? There's that concept.
Mm-hmm. And taking the pauses so that we can say, hold up, let me put the brake on this, the brakes on this. Let me breathe, and let whatever is supposed to, whatever is for me at that moment to happen. Whether it's like what you said, as far as the releasing, whether it's where sometimes it might be, oh my gosh, I got to just go outside and go breathe in nature, get some air, especially for people that's been inside and cooped up all day, or most of the day. As far as all that, those pauses and those breaks are necessary.
Yes.
And then we need to, instead of feeling bad for it or feeling guilty for it, we need to be in gratitude for it. Okay, ooh, just like you were able to sleep peacefully,
Yes.
release that, because it's like that is a letting go, that is a releasing. And I love what you said about losing my train of thought here. It'll come back to me. But we need these moments to just pause, break, and take in the moment as it is happening, because we get so caught up in doing so many different things that we miss out on the moment, and now that moment is gone.
Mm-hmm.
So, okay, I don't feel that we have the answers on how to balance this whole thing with life. I do feel that we need to let go more, surrender more, so that we can be in some type of harmony with this flow of life.
Yeah, I agree. And another thing I've worked in with the pause, allowing time to process and integrate. Because I feel like in the beginning of my journey, I wanted to heal everything. It felt good, and as you peel back a layer, there are like 4 other things that come up. So you're never going to get it done. But it's still a journey, and you don't have to rush through it. So now when I healing to myself, I allow myself 3 days, 5 days a week, process, journal, integrate, allow, instead of, when's my next session? Or when's this? And just kind of rushing to that next thing. And that's been really key in giving myself space. Like I've been taking a lot of Epsom salt baths and spending time in nature to ground myself after healings and meditation, so I can get up in the clouds. I love it up in the ethers. That's my happy place. I got my dragons and my unicorns, and I'm like, I don't want to go back to Earth. But it's fun. They have messages and like the lesson. What can I take away? I really don't want to look at this again. So what can I learn? Because the universe is great with repetition.
Yep.
And another thing that I've changed, I've surrounded myself with more like-minded women, which has been very important. And learning to raise my hand. I don't feel well, or I'm going through this, any thought, and not to sit in it. These are not women that are like, what's the tea? Let's talk about it and be in this energy. They're like, okay, where are you? How can we get you in a higher vibration? Like, what are the solutions? How can we get you to where you want to be? And I feel like that is a very good to my healing journey. And not all of them are entrepreneurs, people that get you. And your family loves you, your friends love you. But maybe they're still on the 9 to 5, wherever they are, that makes them feel good. So the freedom and entrepreneurship and where we are right now seems scary to them because it's not their vision, and that's okay.
Mhm.
You know, it's like wear your glasses, your prescription, not mine. So only you can see.
Mhm. 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 And you brought up a key point as far as surrounding yourself with like-minded souls.
Mhm.
Part of this whole self-care journey that needs to be consistent is making sure that you are surrounding yourself with those that are uplifting you, that are genuinely loving on you, and that are genuinely supporting you in whatever soul mission that you're on. And it's an even exchange, right? We're doing that amongst each other with this dance, right?
Yes.
And so that's that's another distraction, because people think that they have to stay with, these relationships that they've built over the journey. They feel like they have to stay in them. But
Mhm.
as we evolve, you know there's a lot of changes that take place, and letting go of those things that no longer serve you, that will probably be relationships. Because if you don't let go of it, and you need to let go of it because you know that you're in a low vibration, if you don't let go of it, then all it's going to do is just continue to, affect you physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally.
Yep.
So, again, do what makes you feel good. So, if that means that you need to put yourself in a higher vibration, and part of it in putting yourself in a higher vibration is surrounding yourself with soul beings that you have a lot in common with. I no longer have those friends that I've had along the journey because our conversations are different. They're in a different conversation. I don't want to talk about that anymore. And it's nothing against them or anything like that. I'm just in a different space now, spiritually. So if I'm in a different space spiritually, then we don't really have much in common. There's nothing to talk about, and not really much to talk about. And it's just different. The vibe is different. If I feel low vibration when I'm in that conversation, then no, because that's now disturbing my peace. So, love you, wish you all the best, wish you well. I have to let that go. I have to surrender to the fact that this is where it's at now, as far as part of my evolution. As part of their evolution is different as well, because we don't, the energy doesn't resonate, anymore. It's not that chemistry like that anymore. So if that's the case, then we respect each other, we honor each other in a loving way, and part ways, maybe talk every now and then just to check in or say hey.
I think that's really key. I look at life like a book, and maybe that chapter closed or that character needed to be written out to make room for additional characters that need to be. You know, it's all a balance and trade. And I have found many of my friends are still viewing me with my old self.
Mm.
They're making comparisons. They're referencing how I used to be, how they miss me, and oh, I wish you still talked to me, or I wish you still did X, Y, and Z. And I was like, oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed me when I was in that stage. This is me now, right? And on the flip side, I have friends that are also going through awakenings or are into Reiki, or they're like, I'm so glad you're my woo-woo friend, and I can go to you for things, and I can ask questions. Because I feel like that was the hardest thing in the beginning, was where did I go for answers? Where do I go for like mentors and teachers? And I had great ones, but I wanted more. And I turn to books, love my books, but I always love that interaction and asking questions. How do you do this? And what do you think about that? And going back to like-minded souls, accountability partners too, and ones who aren't just going to blow smoke, right? They're not just going to fluff me and I love you. And they're going to say that, but it's like, and now what are you going to do to get yourself out of it? Like love and show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I think we need more of that delivered in a kind, respectful way, and less of the, oh, it'll be fine. Okay. How will it be fine? Like, can you give me an idea?
Yeah.
Or just, I'm just going to hold space. Let me know what you need from me,
Mm-hmm.
has been very refreshing versus the, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't, pity is a lower frequency. It's a lower vibration. But holding space is just that. If you're there, I know if I can reach out and you do need to for me, the same is true of me, right? We have each other's back, and we know that on a soul level.
Yeah.
And that's part of the self-care control.
It is. It is. And these are things that we really need to keep in mind and really reflect on, because the company that you keep, you got to do a self check-in. You have to do a self soul check-in. The company that you keep, look at that and see, because a lot of times it's like, okay, I don't know what's going on with me. I have friends now that I know what it is. Because you're still in keeping same company that's putting you in a vibration that doesn't feel good, that's putting you in an energy that is draining you, because all they're doing is talking about themselves, and that's all that it's about. And they don't want you to change. And the minute they see something, then they're threatened by it, and this and that. Again, we don't live for others. You need to live for yourself, so that we all can live together harmoniously, because we're enjoying ourselves, we're taking care of ourselves, and then others are doing it themselves as well. And then it's a beautiful collective experience, right? That's what's key. So do what makes you feel good. If it's walking, if it's, going on a jog, if it's I'm gonna go for a swim, if it's, like you said, as far as taking the baths, there's so many different things that are out there, but we really need to go within as far as asking ourselves, what does my soul need? What is my soul missing? What does my soul love? And ask that, and sit with that, like you said earlier. Sit with that, be with that, and be like, okay. And there's nothing wrong with just sitting there and closing your eyes and listening, because I promise the answers will come. You just have to be consistent.
Yes.
And consistent with it, diligent, committed to the fact that you want to really enjoy life, because otherwise, next thing you know, life is just going to keep passing you by, and you're just there, just neutral, and just almost like in a zombie state, because you just let the life pass you by, because you're not in the moments. Sit in that moment and say, okay, let me do my self check-in here. Let me do the self-reflection, and ask that, and have your accountability buddies and say, hey, listen, have you noticed that I've been kind of blah, blah, blah? And then if they're your true tribe, they're going to be real and raw with you and be like, yeah, I did notice, blase, blase, blase. Then y'all can get into a conversation about that. And then that they can help you, or that one person can help you, as you're doing this self check-in. You don't have to do it alone. You do have to be alone when you're sitting in silence and not have any distractions, of course.
Yes.
So, yeah, there's a lot to this, but it doesn't have to be complicated. We just make it complicated.
Yeah. Well, we're humans. Human experience with emotions. Emotions make everything complicated. I will say, one of the things I've been doing recently, checking in with my higher self, with her, and before I go to bed, I'll ask that question. One question, I'll repeat it over and over before I go to bed. And then a lot of times the next day or 2 or 3 days later in my morning meditation, I will get answers. I will get some form of next steps on the path. Like, who do I need to become? How would she be right now? It's been in a lot of programs and a lot of things I've been reading, like, you have, we reverse it, right? Once we have it, we'll do this, then we'll be this. But who do you need to be? Say you already have it, you've already thought it already exists in one of your futures. So what does she like? What does she eat for breakfast? What does she wear? What are her hobbies? Who does she surround herself with? And then that's been really fun to journal about. And then that goes back into the decision. Would she do this or this? And then it makes it really easy. Oh no, that's a higher vibration. I need to stay here.
Yes. And it's a beautiful experience as we are exploring, right? That becomes a beautiful experience, because we get to explore these different things that may work for us, may not work for us, but in that exploring, we learn what does work and what doesn't work. And yeah. And then it's like, okay, well, I know that doesn't work for me because that doesn't feel good, but this one does here. So my meditation is 20 minutes. When I'm up, I wake up in gratitude. I do my 3 deep breaths. I go into my 20-minute meditation, And afterwards, go back into gratitude for being able to do the meditation. That feels good to me. And I'm grateful. And I love the fact that I was able to explore that and know that about myself and what is for me and what feels good for me. So,
Yeah. I'm woken up in the middle of the night with a beautiful thunderstorm, lightning, and rain was coming down, and I could hear it hitting down. We have not had a good thunderstorm here. And I was like, I'm so grateful I'm up and able to hear it, because a lot of times I sleep through. And we have a drought. So like a lot of the leaves are turning color and falling off already. So I don't know if we'll get the change of the leaves, but I'm like, I'm so grateful for the rain. Like, bring it down. We're 5 to 6 inches behind. Can you give us a couple inches? Like, I want to see the colors of the fall. Thank you. And then fell back asleep. But just gratitude is the same frequency of receiving. So if there's something you're asking the universe for, the more grateful, the more gratitude you're able to vibrate in that frequency, you're open to receiving, and you're attracting more of what you want. Because the universe doesn't sift and sort your emotions. So if you're like, oh, I have a bill, then it's like, oh, you want more bills. It's like, oh no, money makes me feel good, and you're starting to expand, and I'm grateful. You see a penny, you pick it up. Oh, thank you, universe, abundance. It picks up on that. Oh, well, let me drop some more pennies or nickels or send more money their way. Like, it doesn't sift and sort the way it's supposed to.
No. And that's why we need to be very mindful of that. Again, that goes back to reprogramming the mind. You're reprogramming your mind so that you can have a better life for yourself, because that old programming, that doesn't work. We need to be in a new program that is filled with gratitude, it's filled with love, it's filled with peace. And when we do that, then that's when things manifest for us in such a beautiful way. What we desire, we manifest because we've reprogrammed the mind. We now see that, okay, I'm going to be in gratitude. I'm going to open my day in gratitude. I'm going to close my day in gratitude. You can't close your day in just having all whatever happened throughout the day that's been weighing you down. If you close your day with that, then more than likely you're going to wake up with that residue. So open your day with the gratitude, close your day with gratitude. That gives us more clarity too, in those things that we realize, oh, I enjoy this, I enjoy that, or I don't enjoy this, so let me rework this into my schedule, let me change this around, or what have you. But being in that vibration of gratitude, that energy and that frequency does so much. Everything else falls in place with that, and we're better able to take care of ourselves when we talk about the self-care. So
Yes, 100%. And I even keep a journal by my bed. If like my thoughts are racing, sometimes after I do my gratitude practice, I'm doing all the things that I need to do the next day. Just do brain dump, write it down, get it out of your head. It's there, you won't forget it. Put it in the drawer, close it, and then I go to sleep. And then there the next day, I had a bad habit of like going through not only the next day, but kind of the whole week. I had already lived it, all like the high points or the meetings or what I would need to accomplish or what have you. And it could be everything, right? Doctor's appointments, taking the cats to the vet, like whatever your responsibilities are.
Mm-hmm.
And I was stressing myself out, and it was just Sunday. This was old me. I've grown a little bit since then. So yeah.
See, you learn from that, and then it feels good for you. It feels so much better for you now, right? You
Yes.
can be more in a flow, and you can be more, released and relieved from that, because that was probably feeling like a lot of pressure, and we put a lot of pressure on ourselves, and we need to be very, very careful and mindful of that, so that we can be relieved from that. We put that on ourselves. So I love the fact that we're given free will so we can choose what feels good.
Yes. I love it. Are there any final thoughts or tips you want to leave our audience with?
The biggest thing is to do what feels good. That's the biggest thing. And don't be so hard on yourself. We have a tendency to be so hard on ourselves. Don't be so hard on yourself. Be very gentle with yourself. Love on yourself. Choose that loving kindness and softness where you're able to just say, you know what? I don't know really if sometimes I have those moments. I don't know what I'm going to do, so I'm just going to sit here and rest. And before, if I like, I know I need to get certain things done. If I just feel this overwhelmingness, as far as that with the energy, then I'm just like, nope. I'm gonna table it. I'm gonna put it aside. Gratitude, 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 and I'm gonna take myself to sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So do not be so hard on yourself. And then if you win accomplish things, there's a lot that we want to accomplish, but at the end of the day, you still do what makes you feel good. And don't get so caught up and stuck in that rut, because if you're stuck in that energy where it's just like, man, I did not get this done, and oh my gosh, I didn't even take any time for myself today. If you stay stuck in that, then that's going to determine, as far as how you sleep, is going to determine how you get up. So let it go. Be mindful of your emotions. Be mindful of what's going on at that very moment. Check in with how you're reacting and responding to certain things. Let it go, and table it. Pause, knowing that the pauses are good. The pauses are necessary. The pauses are healthy and nourishing to your soul. So
100%. Yeah, I mean, all of it it comes back to like your central nervous system. We're all dysregulated. We're constantly in this fight or flight because of how we're inundated with everything, electronics, traffic, you name it. But our body reacts like we've got that Bengal tiger chasing us and we need to run for our lives. And it's always in that heightened state. So that pause brings us back down to, oh, this is what normal feels like. So I will piggyback onto that and say space and grace. Give yourself space and grace.
Yeah.
And I was listening to a podcast by Simon Sinek, and I loved how he put it. He's like, work smart, play always. And take care of yourself, take care of each other.
I love that.
And that really resonated with me. Before he got into the work smart, play always, and how he was like, work hard, play hard. He's like, no, play always. And you don't always have to work hard, work smart.
Yes, very true. And playing always play, because again, we are put here to enjoy life, not slave for life, not slave through life.
Yeah.
What most of us are doing, we're slaving through life, but we're put here to enjoy life. So we're put here to enjoy life, then let's enjoy it. Let's play. Let's keep playing.
Yes. And that starts as a part-time thing until it grows into a big full-time to get you out of it. There's a path for you. You do have choice. You have the power.
Absolutely.
We're here to remind you of that.
Yep. Love it. Love it.
Thank you so much for watching. We are so glad you've been here for all of our parts of Fitness to Freedom. Sending love and light your way. Until next time.